And we're in. Drew, what are we doing?
We are doing our tracks. What is it? Track of the week? Track of the month?
It's not
Tracks that
Drew,
that made us.
It's the tracks that made us. So, I've been watching a lot of Netflix because what else is there to do? Started off with the toys that made us. Then it was the movies that made us. And now I've hijacked the concept, unless anybody kind of sues us. And, we could just make an alteration, maybe the songs, the sounds, whatever. Yeah. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about a great track that has really influenced our band Just a Ride and contributed to the sound that we have now. So
absolutely.
To kick this off, what are we going for, Drew?
We are going for a track by Chris Cornell, and it's going to be called "Can't Change Me." This song, it's one of those records where it's off his first solo attempts post Soundgarden, wasn't it? And it was the first time I ever heard this was my brother, and he had the CD in the car. I never forget it, actually. I was like, "Wow, what's this?" He's like, "Oh, this is Chris Cornell." I was like,
"Who's he?"
Okay. Who's he? Yeah, a little bit. I was a bit young at the time. And I thought, wow, this sounds amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I bought it. I've got it on CD, and I was just glued to it. Absolutely glued to it.
Yeah, I think I was quite similar to you in that regard. I was born 85, so I kind of started getting into alternative music probably when I was like 12 or 13, around sort of 97, 98. So this was kind of my first exposure to Chris Cornell, and I think it was my music teacher who was a bit of a rocker. He said, "Oh, you should check this CD out. It's Chris Cornell." I was like, "Oh, who's he?" Cool. So like, what's amazing is obviously, I think the two of us and also Alex and Russ who aren't with us would probably say, Soundgarden are such a big influence on our sound and so many musicians. But
every other band,
Yeah, but the thing is, like our generation probably experienced them more when they reformed or they were kind of like legacy. So for me, the first kind of introduction to that sort of sound was this song "Can't Change Me," which was from the album. I think it was called Euphoria Morning. I still have it.
Euphoria Morning. It's exactly what it's called.
It is a banger. Chris also banged out, I believe it was a French language version of this song as well, which is pretty bitchin'.
Totally forgot about that. That's right at the end of the record.
Yeah, but
and it's a bit slower, and it's got the whole kind of what are they called?
Accordion.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's got all that in it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it was, I mean, this was back when MTV still played music. And there was a show. It was I think it was called MTV Europe, because it was slightly different to the American version that we used to get on Sky. And there was a show called Super Rock, and I think it was on like Mondays 11 p.m. So we basically had 1 hour of kind of rock music every week. And I specifically remember seeing this video. It's Chris Cornell. He's walking around some kind of like city. Going out into like the fields. There's a hot chick. He ends up in some water, but he was on fire. Like they had special effects, and Chris Cornell was on fire. And when I saw that video, when I was like 12, 13, I was like, oh my God, it's like a Hollywood movie. Like, and because I didn't know he was from Soundgarden, I'm like, wow, like this debut artist has this absolutely like super high tech, super special effects driven video, and like the song's a banger. And I was like, wow. I watched the video the other day. It has aged quite well in all aspects other than that fire CGI.
But I mean, yeah, it's amazing. But like, you just look at, like, when you listen to the song, like, just the songwriting is just, for me, it's just unreal.
Man,
the whole album,
the riff, and I mean,
like,
Drew,
you're got great musicians on that record. Josh Freese on drums.
Yep. King of drummers.
Perfect Circle. King of drummers. Yeah.
I mean, Josh Freese has been in everything. I mean, if he's been
Josh Freese, he was the guy. I think he still is. Like, who do we get to drum on our record? Sting. He plays for Sting now, doesn't he?
Man, I mean, epic.
Perfect
drummer.
circle to Sting. I mean, like, what a gig, you know.
He's done it. Oh, wasn't he was in the Vandals as well, wasn't he, Josh Freese?
Yeah, and he also played a load of stuff on Avril Lavigne records, and he's done like, I think he's just like the cool guy. He's just like, dude, can you come and play drums on this album, please? If you just name an album around that era, from anything from about 2000 onwards, there seems to be like, oh yeah, Josh Freese did the drums on that. Like if the band had like either lost a drummer, or the drummer, you know, needs to be not used, whatever it is,
Moved on.
It moved on.
The drummer,
you know.
the drummer asked if he could write some songs. I mean, you just called Josh
Yeah.
Freese. I mean, Josh Freese literally,
Josh Freese, you know.
literally sums up the mantra like "have sticks, will travel."
Yeah, I mean, he was in perfect. The first time I ever saw Josh Freese was Perfect Circle, but another. If you want to go deeper into that song, if you want to, you know about it and the songwriting, the other member of the band, one of the co-songwriters of that song, I believe, is a guy called Alain Johannes.
I know,
Do you know
of Alain Johannes. I believe he.
Alain Johannes.
Yeah, the
was
Queens
in
of
a
the Stone
band,
Age contributor
yeah.
quite a lot, and he.
Yeah, he's the dark horse, mate, of those guys. He's like he did a band called. Have you ever heard of him? Called 11.
No.
And they came out in about. Oh, I'm gonna have to get you that CD. That is amazing. And if you listen to his songwriting, and listen to the Chris Cornell album that he co-wrote with Alain Johannes, that Euphoria Morning, it's got similar vibes. I'm like, wow, okay. So that's an interesting thing to it, and that's the thing I really like about. I like going deeper into it. I'm like, oh, why does it sound like that? Why has he changed the sound? I'm like, oh, he's worked with this guy, but this guy's like the unsung hero of that movement. He wasn't like massively famous, but he's always that guy. Like you say, he's the guy in Queens of the Stone Age. He was also in them Crooked Vultures. He's like the side guy.
Nice.
He's like this. Yeah, Alain Johannes. Check him out.
He also.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember the name of the album. I think it was called Damage. Or Damages, Jimmy Eat World record they did a few years ago, and he produced that.
Again, I love that. I love the fact that he's like this sort of guy who goes around and was like, oh yeah, I would work with Alain Johannes. Do you know what I mean? Because I know who he is and what he's done for the music industry.
Alan, call us.
Alan, call us. Yeah, exactly. But certainly that, you know, going back to Euphoria Morning, we sort of, you know, going into the depths of it now a little bit, which is what I love. And that's another thing, you know, with all those albums, like, that's what I love about that stuff. You start going into it like, oh, such and such produced it, or such and such co-wrote, and, you know, I like we mentioned earlier, I actually didn't know who Chris Cornell was before, because it was 99, I think the album was, and I kind of got into Soundgarden around that time. You know, when Soundgarden initially came out with the big, you know, all their big hits and stuff like that. It's something that I was aware of, like Black Hole Sun and stuff, but it's not something I was massively into at the time. And I sort of came back to those bands and sort of rediscovered. So when I was like, oh, right, so Chris Cornell did a solo album and he's a singer of this Soundgarden band, because it was all post Soundgarden. It was after they'd broken up anyway. And then he did Audio Slave, I think, straight after Euphoria Morning.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Euphoria Morning was probably like the gateway drug for a whole new generation of kids into alternative and whatever, to kind of rediscover Soundgarden. And it's a really strange thing when you think about it. Like, I mean, I'm not like super into the kind of like the background story of Soundgarden, why they split up or whatever, but it always strikes me as kind of strange in that I'm sure when a lead singer kind of moves on and does a solo record, in some regard there's very much a like, oh, I'm moving away from that band and I'm making like my own path. And at the same time, I think Euphoria Morning did that. It's a great album, but it also then, like I said, the result is connecting this new generation of fans to the amazing body of work that Soundgarden had, and like you said, led on to Audio Slave, who, you know, again, I could talk about Audio Slave for for hours and hours and hours. I love, you know, the initial reaction to it and stuff like that, but I'm more in love with Soundgarden and Chris Cornell versus Audio. I love Rage Against the Machine. I love Soundgarden.
I'm not sure it worked for me. That's just my personal opinion. It was amazing, but but I just kind of, I don't know. Maybe it just didn't sit with me in the same way, But
I don't know. I kind of
nothing wrong with that. It was just what it was,
I kind of found Audioslave actually brought me more into Soundgarden.
You know what? There is that to it, and it's and Rage. It's like that keeps Rage Against the Machine alive, doesn't it? It keeps the body of their work alive.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. They did. I think Audioslave did how many records? 3 records.
2 or 3.
I think it was 3. Yeah, I did 3. And it was after the initial hit of that first one, but I sort of missed the second and third. Like I just didn't.
Yeah.
Then I speak to some people and they say, look, third album's their best work. It's just that's when they started to kind of really start maturing into their sound and stuff. But obviously it sort of it run its course. But
Audioslave as well, just as a moment in time, also sets up like Velvet Revolver in a way. That kind of those kind of like mid 2000 supergroups.
This is it. It was all those kind of grungy supergroups sort of tying in with, that was weird. The whole Guns N' Roses thing tying in with Scott Weiland, and again another band that the first Velvet Revolver album. Like I love Stone Temple Pilots. I love Guns N' Roses. Do I like Velvet Revolver? Not sure. It was just like it's weird. It's like that type of. I absolutely love Scott Weiland's vocal melodies on those records and stuff. They're incredible. Actually, to be honest, in fair, Sliver and all that, they are good songs. They are amazing songs.
Yeah, something I found with both Velvet Revolver and Audioslave is that it's actually the quieter songs that are like the ones I like the most, like Fall to Pieces, and Show Me How to Live. Those are like my two. Show Me How to Live is a bit more rocky, but I kind of see it as a quieter track. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting, definitely, and you can kind of hear the divide. The only thing for me as well with the Audioslave thing, you hear the divide in the band, like the songwriting, because you can hear blatantly when it's like Chris Cornell's just come in and gone, I've got a song, and they're probably just like, yeah, we'll use that one, that's kind of cool, and we'll just do that, or I'll just do this one acoustic. And then you can hear the other side where it's like, I got this song and it's blatantly a Rage Against the Machine song, but they've just put kind of more singing over it rather than rapping. That was the thing I found I struggled with, was that side of it. It sounded like Rage Against the Machine, but with Chris Cornell's vocals, and I'm not sure that worked for me. So
that's
let's
just me, personally.
Let's think though. Obviously we've kind of gone off on a tangent, which we always do.
Yeah, we always do. And it will lead into Kiss in a minute at some point. So
yeah, the hottest band in the world by a mile.
Kiss Unmasked.
Yeah,
it will lead into Asylum at some point. I don't know when.
But what I was going to say is, I mean, if we think about that track, Can't Change Me.
Yeah.
How do you kind of feel that manifests itself in kind of our music? I don't know how I kind of find this link, but our song Not Enough, there's just something about like the kind of riff. It's a completely different style of song, but there's something that reminds me of Can't Change Me, and like that. I mean, Cornell's melody always is something that is going through my head when I'm writing. What about for you? I
think that's what it is. I think when it's probably a bit more subliminal, all that stuff. But I certainly don't go out, if I'm going to write a riff or a song, I don't go out of my way to be like, I don't think Soundgarden, I think more other bands than Soundgarden, but yet when I listen to the Soundgarden stuff, you're exactly right. I'm like, there's definitely elements of like us in there, and I'm like, what is that? I would say it's probably more the vocal melodies. I can hear. It's almost like they're complicated, but yet with a simplistic. I don't know. It's such a weird thing to sort of think about sometimes. You're like, oh yeah, it's got that. Like the main riff and Not Enough, the winning, whatever it is, I can kind of hear that. That's definitely the Cornell. It's more Cornell than Soundgarden, I would say. And that's why I think that's probably why you're relating it to more of a Cornell area. All that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely vocal melodies. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And how have you found? I mean, this is how unprepared we are. How have you found kind of getting together like our version, because I mean our version's going to be a like stripped back kind of acoustic version of the track. You know, in this segment we're going to be doing, you know, a variety. We'll do interpretations of these songs, these tracks that made us. You know, some will be kind of full production, some will be kind of stripped back, some, you know, different members of the bands. I mean, the boys last night were you know, Russ and Alex were saying, you know, because they're not going to be involved on this one, they'll do a Royal Blood song where it's just bass and drums. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah, great idea. How have you kind of found that? I know you were twiddling away yesterday.
Yeah, I was having a go at it because it's fiddly. It's a fiddly song. You know, it's got some interesting chords. When you listen to like that song, it's all in G minor or whatever. It's all very minory. And yeah, it's going to be a bit interesting, sort of bit weird, sort of going through, because you've got the main riff going over the top, the ding, and all that kind of stuff.
Have you got a little sneak peek, Drew?
No.
Can do anything at all, have anything she pleases, the power to change what she thinks is wrong. What could she want with me? Yeah, wait just 1 minute here, I can see that she's trying to read me, but suddenly I know she's going to change the world. She's going to change the world. She's going to change the world, but she can't change me. No, she can't change me. She has the daylight at her command. She gives the night its dreams, yeah. She can uncover your darkest fears, make you forget you feel them. But wait, just 1 minute more, I can see that she's trying to free me, but suddenly I know she's going to change the world. She's going to change the world. She's going to change the world, but she can't change me. No, she can't change me. And suddenly I can see everything that's wrong with me, yeah. What can I do? I'm the only thing I really have at all. But wait, just 1 minute here, I can see that she's trying to need me, but suddenly I know she's going to change the world. She's going to change the world. She's going to change the world, but she can't change me. No, she can't change me.
So guys, this was the first episode of The Tracks That Made Us. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we did justice to a truly phenomenal track from an immortal, legendary artist. May he rest in peace forever, Chris Cornell. He's influenced a generation, and I think you can see from not just us, but how much he and his music and his legacy means to everyone. So stay tuned for more stuff from Just a Ride. We'll have guests coming on the show, collaborating with artists. So I hope you like it. Send us your feedback, and we'll see you soon. Rock on, guys. Cheers.